Welcome back to Brashenomics. My name is Heather Moore, and Hetty got into a little bit of the importance about home inspections, and now we have the real deal, the professional with us, Jim Estrada, owner and lead inspector for Property Inspector LLC, and Jim has been inspecting homes for almost 10 years and has performed over 3,500 inspections, which blows my mind. Jim, how are you?
Real good, Heather. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm excited to drive home, and I try to keep myself safe, and I hope you sense the sarcasm there.
Yeah, definitely. The roads are nasty, but just take your time.
Yeah, and we talk with, that relates to safety, which is what you come here on the show and talk to us about, is being safe in your home. And we talked about smoke alarms last time, which was really an interesting topic and some of the new and improved technology that they've had. And I think we should maybe continue on that a little, because I don't think that we fully came circle with that.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of review a few things that we talked about last time and add a little bit of new information that I've also kind of received too, to kind of explain the importance of when a fire happens and stuff. We were talking initially about the different types of smoke detectors. We have ionization smoke detectors that actually detect heat and flames. They're also responsible for nuisance alarms, and ideally, and in fact, in all commercial buildings, they are not even allowed anymore. They actually put in photoelectric, which photoelectric detects smoke, and of course, that's what most people die from.
Right.
I talked a little bit about that I had a fire at my house and kind of watched it happen and progress, and the smoke detectors didn't even go off.
Until it was almost too late.
Well, it was well over. Fortunately, I had a couple of fire extinguishers there to put it out and deal with it. But the thing that surprised me that I found out here the other day is that our houses burn entirely different today than they did many years ago.
Really?
Okay.
Well, tell me a little bit about that.
I did not understand. Oftentimes you hear about when they're fighting a fire and stuff, about a major flash or a kind of an explosion type happens.
Like you see in the movies?
Exactly. Okay. And that's for real.
Really?
Okay?
I always thought it was for effect.
Well, I kind of did too. But what happens is a fire, when it reaches a temperature as it's building, it's producing carbon monoxide. And carbon monoxide does not want to stay carbon monoxide. And when it reaches a temperature of 900 degrees at some point in the house, that carbon monoxide flashes to become carbon dioxide. Really? So it's basically a massive explosion, which of course spreads fire everywhere throughout the house. Now, the really important thing here is that back in 1970, it took about 17 minutes for this to happen in a house, because all our houses, all our materials were built with wood.
With wood, okay.
And today, it takes 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Why the change?
Our houses are built mostly with wood chips that are glued together. Our furniture is totally different. And so when you have a fire in your house, it is get out of the house today. Okay, or you're going to be involved in this explosion. You want to get whoever you need to get out of the house, and get out of the house, and do not go back in. Don't worry about your wallet. Don't worry about any of that stuff. It's all replaceable. Just get the people out. And I was in a house today, beautiful young family, and, it's a 3-story house, and they don't have a fire ladder. And it's like, having a fire ladder to be able to roll out the window, to be able to get out of the house. Just those kinds of extra little ideas can make you so much better in performing for a fire.
3 stories is a long way to fall. And quick question about the materials. Do you have any, insight as to what the shift is in these materials that people use with modern construction? Is it, they're more cheap, these wood chips that are glued together, or just more readily available?
The biggest problem is that we don't have good trees anymore. Okay, if you want to have good trees, if you want to have really good cedar shakes, as an example, you have to go to northern Canada, and what used to be a $10,000 roof is now a $35,000 roof because of the materials. Okay, if you go to any of the stores and try to buy nice straight 2x4s, it's very, very difficult. A lot of times you'll actually see finger jointed 2x4s where they have little 2-foot sections that they've grooved them together to be able to just glue them together so they can actually get a piece of wood that's straight. Our just basic lumber, a 2x4, fir 2x4 back in the 50s and the 60s, which was a much tighter grain than our oak today. Okay, and oak is supposed to be so much harder. So just the wood materials and everything that we're using nowadays, and just everything from our furniture, our cabinets, our flooring, our carpeting is built basically to flame up quickly.
So people, I mean, it'd be prudent for people to understand what the materials are that go into their house and what the risk is when they have a fire, because I would assume most people would think they might have more than 3 minutes if flames really go up.
It blew me away, Heather. When I heard that, it was like to go from 17 minutes to 3 minutes.
I'm terrified.
Well, and that's why I wanted to come back and talk about this again, because these are things that I'm just learning, and these are things that have been known for a long time, but they basically have not divulged to us.
Not too much information in the public.
Right, and same with the smoke detectors. I mean, they have big contracts in China making these things, and they got to keep making them for another 10 years before they can get out of their contracts. So they want to keep selling them. And we as a home inspector industry and the fire department and stuff
are recommending
really starting to push things, the photoelectric.
The photoelectric.
Right, okay.
We have a little bit more than two minutes left, and I just wanted to get to one other topic we were planning on discussing today, and that was AFCI arc fault circuit breakers, which I imagine the average listener might not know what we're referring to.
Well, most people don't understand these at all. They're fairly new. They actually just came out in use in 2004. Most people are familiar nowadays with the GFCI outlets, which those are the push-button outlets that you find anywhere near water, in your bathrooms, in your kitchen.
With the red button and the black button. My hairdryer doesn't work. I press the button, reset.
Exactly. And they come in all kinds of colors now, so it's not necessarily the red or black button. But in the electrical panels now, we have what is called an arc fault circuit breaker. And originally they were designed to basically protect or shut off the power, just like the GFCI outlet does, if there is an arc fault inside of the wall between the outlet. So on an outlet, you have a hot wire and you have a neutral wire. The power comes in, it comes in on the hot, it goes back on the neutral, okay? Sometimes it jumps across inside of the wall and can actually create a fire, and this would sense that and actually shut it off. The National Electric Code in 2010 actually requires all houses with all 15 and 20 amp circuits be arc fault, okay? And the new arc faults actually have GFCIs built into them also.
So that would be a positive of owning a home that was newly constructed, is that there's going to be more.
Well, we're getting that direction. Now, the NEC is not the final word, and the state always has to enact all of these different bills, okay? And currently, all they're required on is in your sleeping rooms, okay? But I was in a house today, in fact, the house that I talked about a little bit earlier, they had 7 arc fault breakers in their panel. Only 2 of them worked. 5 of them were defective. Okay, and most people don't realize that it's a very, very simple thing. Same thing with the GFCI outlets. You're supposed to test them monthly. There's a little button on them. You hit the test button. If it trips, it's working fine, and reset it, and you're off to the races. They do freeze up from lack of use. If I could get people to just do it once a year,
You'd be happy?
I'd be really, really excited. Okay, so when the fall time change happens, and they always say to change your smoke alarm batteries, go around and reset your arc fault and your GFCIs.
So, I mean, we just got about 30 seconds left, and I would love to have you try to explain this over the air, and that usually doesn't translate well. So where's a good place or resource someone might be able to get a how-to for this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to call an electrician.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, we're talking about...
No YouTube videos here.
Well, really, yeah. In fact, it was interesting. Last night I was watching a show, and Desperate Housewives, crazy show, and they were talking. This one gal was just obsessed with the fact that she was going to be able to fix this electrical problem, and she ended up punching holes in walls and doing all these kinds of things that a good electrician would have come in and just replaced a breaker, with no damage. So we just want to make sure that people are safe.
And being safe most always means calling a professional if you don't know what you're doing.
That is true.
Thank you so much, Jim. Always great to have you on. That was Jim Estrada, owner and lead inspector for Property Inspector LLC. And as I mentioned before, if you have any questions for any of our professionals, please go to our Facebook page /Brashenomics. When we come back, we're going to do a roundtable discussion, get everybody back on the mics for a few minutes. Thanks for everybody for joining us. My name's Heather Moore. You're listening to Brashenomics. We'll be right back.